took, she's starting to feel. She finds herself lost into thought.
That is Anderson. I'm Brian Bishop. For your hosts for today, Anderson, I got no notes here from you, but I think we're going to line up on 3 phones today.
Why don't you check your inbox there?
Oh, did it just come through? I don't care. We got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We got Snowtown, a.k.a. the Snowtown Murders. Mm-hmm. And the Tribe. The Tribe was assigned to us by whom?
Byron Klosterman, who I spoke with yesterday about the Tribe.
I have no choice but to believe you.
We sign languaged. It was Tad.
You didn't actually speak?
Brian, this is true, and this is rare, but I felt bad for you. I felt bad for you this week because I didn't know exactly what we were getting into with Byron's choice of the Tribe, which he's an assigner. He was this week's assigner by signing up at the assigner level over on Patreon and being so for 6 months. So he got to choose which movie we watched.
Thank you, Byron, and all the assigners.
Yes, and as I'm watching the Tribe, I'm like, ooh, because I knew what else you were watching. I assigned just the Snowtown Murders.
It was a heavy week.
Heavy week for Bri.
Usually this happens once or twice, like in the winter when like there's heavy Oscar movies I kind of have to see.
Yeah.
Like when it's 12 Years a Slave or, something pairing with that. But this wasn't fun.
No, it was probably a very heavy 4 hours you had to endure this week. And I felt a little bad, but also a part of me was very happy.
What part of you?
The most of it. Like the larger part of me, which is a lot of me.
Yeah. People think when they say a part of you, it's a small part. It'd be a big part.
The part that felt bad might have been like a follicle of hair that may have fallen out sometime during the week.
Oh, so that part's gone?
Yeah, it's gone now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad at all.
First of all, how dare you bring up follicles falling out?
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. It was not intentional. I feel bad. And I'm sorry for saying that you look just like or you remind me of the chef from this season's Below Deck. My apologies.
He's a really cool guy.
Hey, but I did feel bad. However, at the same time, I thought, you know what? Brian gets to endure 2 really fucking good movies. So that part of me was happy for you, okay? What we got this week are 2 Anderson movies for sure, and then a Marvel movie. So here, have you heard about my goes?
I have caught wind.
Yes,
I caught wind that you had an interesting experience.
I had an experience at the theater.
Are you prepared to play clips?
Oh, I should probably look for that, huh? All right. What do we get to first? Shang-Chi?
Do you want to do Shang-Chi?
Let's do Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi!
Wait, what are we doing? Jesus Christ.
Listener,
am I new to the program?
Listener, fanflections.
Come on now, Cowan. Come on. All right, here we go.
Later in the week, we got the big summer recap episode. Best of the summer, top 5, if you will. Anderson, I'm sure, will have 10 or 12 movies after the summer, but I have 5.
That's not how
that's coming out Friday.
Yeah.
And also...
into the microphone, please. Be a professional,
I got
please.
an ant on me. For patrons, you Patreon members, we have top 5 lines we quote most often. Volume 3.
Yeah.
Anderson has 5 more, and of course I always do. So we'll get that to you. Plus top red light, green light for both episodes. So enjoy that.
Yes, it's going to be a busy week for sure. Brian, stop looking at your arm. Stop it. It's distracting.
I was bitten.
It's distracting. So. Quick little moment of silence after that outburst. My apologies.
Just because we're soft.
Michael K. Williams. No longer with us.
Omar.
Omar from The Wire is probably how he's best known, but he's had a lot of Brian, stop hitting your chest with your fist. It's upsetting to me. He's been in a number of things. Every time I'd see that guy, y'all have seen him before. If you're not familiar with The Wire, he's the black fellow with a big scar right across his face. Seen him in a number of interviews, and he seemed like he had his shit together. So you never know. You just never know. But evidently, it was a drug OD, and too soon. I feel like we probably had a whole lot more to see from Michael K. Williams. Very sad. And what's funny is a poor choice of words, Brian. But
that's not funny at all.
I was dragged to the beach with by my wife yesterday. I said, "Oh, you want to go to the beach on Labor Day? That's what your mom's plan is. So her and her friend, or you want you to meet us out on Santa Monica, Labor Day, the beach." I said, "Can I bow out? Can I step aside and let you guys, you and Atticus?"
You wanted nothing to do with the beach.
Yeah.
Understandable.
On Labor Day, right?
Especially if it's
Labor Day.
If it's a public beach. You don't want anything to do with that.
Hey, you mentioned 12 Years a Slave. Michael K. Williams was in that movie.
That's right, he was.
So in Boardwalk Empire as well, it's TV, so I'm not going to bring TV Volt to the program, but Michael K. Williams. So I got dragged to the beach, and let me tell you, Brian, it was not a fun affair. at least getting there and finding us a parking spot because they were.
Oh, you ended up going.
Oh yeah, the wife asked. She said, "I'd like it more if you went." And I thought, warm the cockles a little bit. I was like,
the cockles went from cold to lukewarm.
That was the day before. The day of, it all came snapping into focus while we were desperately trying to find a parking spot.
I imagine it was challenging
on a very long line to go onto the pier to park on the pier, which was a nightmare. No place to turn around. Once we realized that we were in the wrong location,
you're in the machine,
because she was looking at her maps. I was looking at my maps. They were giving us two very different locations. Turned out we were like a 25-30 minute walk from where we were supposed to go. And while we're sitting there in the line, she lets the truth be known. She says, "Thank you very much for coming, honey. I would not have been able to deal with all of this on my own." So she just wanted me to essentially be a delivery
to diffuse the stress.
Oh, I don't know why she chose me though, because I mean I was biting.
It only
my
adds
tongue.
to the stress.
I was so furious, Brian. Anyways, we fine day at the beach. Once we got there, it's always great building sandcastles with the boy. Got to do it while I can because he's not going to be a little boy for very long. We got back to the car. I had 7 unread messages. 4 of the 7 were about Michael K. Williams.
Oh no!
Yeah, very
sad.
From me? One was from you.
One was from me.
I said,
I thought of you instantly.
I said, please do not speak of him. I have no idea who he is.
You said, get that name out of your mouth. You said, get his name out.
I said, you're not allowed to say Omar because you have no reference. You have no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then you responded with she, which is not him. That's Isaiah Whitlock. So how dare you, Brett? All right, where are we? Where are we going? Oh yeah. Little fanfiction. Thank you very much to Mitch Burns for putting it all together. The aforementioned Shang-Chi. Everyone of the listeners of ours who weighed in, who had seen Shang-Chi by the time that Mitch collected them, gave it a positive review. So the Film Vault tomato score is 100%.
Really?
Here's
it's good. It's a good movie.
Here's a nitpicker. Here's a nitpicker about Shang-Chi. JT Legit on Facebook really liked it overall, and the action in the first 2 acts were excellent. The CGI fest in the last act knocked it down a star for me. Emily Hood on Facebook said Vacation Friends was syrupy, but it hit the silly rom-com spot. Rewatched The Rock. Gotta love Cage with a gun and PhD. Finally,
that's a fun movie.
Finally watched Psalm. The douche level was super high on the baldometer on these guys. Brian has a little catching up to do.
What does that mean?
Psalm, the movie Psalm with the sommeliers that drink the wine. That movie.
I thought you meant like the Bible Psalm.
Not psalms. I would have said psalms. I don't ever read that properly. Psalms.
Okay. Sorry. Psalm the documentary, which is wonderful.
Yeah, Psalm documentary. Douche level was super high, she says. And on the baldometer, and these guys.
Why is the baldometer a meter of douchebaggery?
Yeah. Well, she said it. This is Emily Hood. I mean,
God damn you, Emily.
But as I work in hospitality, it was interesting to see the test prep. All right. And then Vacation Friends, and it feels like something Brian would like. Listeners really enjoyed Vacation Friends. That is a movie Brian would normally be watching when he wasn't tied up with the tribe.
I had to hold up on Vacation Friends.
The Snowtown Murders, which got this quote for me. Notes. The only notes that I gave for the Snowtown Murders. Jesus. Bog Hoss. Tongue twister there. On Reddit, saw Carney. 1980s Carney. As I continue to watch films from the 80s that I never saw or many times even heard of, I came across this one. Holy shit, wasn't this an example of something that couldn't be made today? Jodie Foster at 16 years old having a relationship with Gary Busey, who was in his mid-30s already. Nothing but cringe all along. Still, it was interesting to see Jodie in something that was clearly trying to help her break from the Disney girl she had been in, become.
Is this based on a true story?
Oh, she makes out with Robbie Robertson too, who was also in his mid-30s. Yeah, this is the tail end of the really seedy, gross Hollywood where they'd see like starlets, 1980. The starlets coming up and they'd start putting them through the motions. Like, all right, here you go. It was almost like a Russian porn set. Awful. Terrible. And then here, this is, 13 Kegel. I was just emailing with that 13 Kegel, and he let me know it's Bill.
Why?
Bill watched the Bob Ross doc on Netflix. It was short and to the point, but didn't have the lasting effect of Mr. Rogers or Gleason docs. Worth a watch, though. That's the Bob Ross doc. I started watching that one. It's the guy with the big hair that paints, and he's no longer with us. I watched, I think, the first 20, 30 minutes before the boy demanded that I change it.
Happy trees.
Distant Terry on Twitter finally writes, I kept talking and making noises throughout Shang-Chi. I think I annoyed the blonde-headed guy next to me.
Oh, no, we have our culprit.
Sorry, bro. That's funny, Distant Terry. Yeah.
So
What Terry's alluding to is I had a rough go in watching Shang-Chi Thursday night. The night before it actually came out, I tried to see movies. This is my new thing I've been doing. I think I've done it like 6 weeks in a row now. I see the biggest movie of the week. Why is your dog eating behind me?
Why acknowledge it?
Because it sounds like a train. It sounds like the chuck wagon is coming through the kitchen.
You have a headphone off your ear. No one can hear that. Are you Foleying my dog?
It's gone, Charlie. There's nothing left in the dish. Stop it.
It just says, did he burp?
No.
It just says hungry.
All right. Yeah. So I see the biggest, sexiest movie, the biggest money spender Thursday night, and then I do a little video review of it and release it Friday morning. I couldn't release it Friday morning because the wife had me doing something else. She was very upset. The boy was home, like what you already said.
You driving to the beach?
Unfortunately, no, it wasn't. Unfortunately, that didn't go up until later in the afternoon. But point is, I did a little something different this time around, Brian. The guy next to me was so outrageous, so upsetting, so infuriating that the only way that I could contain myself, my own anger, was to make a project out of it and whip out my phone, which I should say, in many movie theaters, whipping out your phone mid-theater, mid-movie.
Frowned upon.
No one would notice in this theater because the phones were out of galore already. Yeah. People are just randomly taking their phones out, posting, texting. Oh, Jesus Christ almighty.
And here you are, the biggest culprit of all.
It's just, no, because I had it on.
To pirate the movie.
I had it on very, very. Will you make your dog not fucking do that?
No one can hear anything.
I can hear it, Brian. It's very difficult to concentrate. Why don't you do the brass tacks while I foley your dog some more, and I'll try and find the audio.
The tribe. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so what I was doing is I was pulling out my phone and pushing record every time I had a suspicion something would get a reaction out of it.
What would lead you to believe he was about to have an outburst? Did his eyes start to glow?
No, I didn't. I wasn't looking at it. I side-eyed him plenty of times, but I was not staring at this man. I can tell you, I did get a good look at him on the way out. Did not like his look at all. He had a beard, much like yours.
Oh, no. Was he bald?
He was heavy set. He looks like he's like the kind of guy, tropey and cliched kind of guy that you would say lives in his mom's basement.
He's the Brian you fell in love with.
He was with 3 other dudes, so it was a foursome that came. And God, I wish they didn't. But yeah, this is a very formulaic movie. It is a Marvel movie. It's very paint by numbers, and you could feel the action sequences coming. I missed some of his better moments. I just got little samplings, but this guy was making noise throughout the movie.
I need you to imitate his better moments, the ones you missed. As a point of information, Anderson, I saw this movie I was going out for the weekend, and so my only chance to see it was Thursday night as well, which I would normally never do.
Oh, so you had a similar audience probably.
Band.
Yeah.
Funny you should mention that because I tweeted afterwards. I'm like, saw Shang-Chi, the movie was fine, audience was insufferable. Because the audience was, doing the hooting and hollering thing. As soon as the Marvel logo comes up, applause breaks out.
I get that people like to be part of a small tribe. I get that people like to be, feel like they're like part of the in group. It just makes me fucking nauseous, though.
I don't think you're part of an in group when it's literally the biggest movie.
But they don't think it that way. They don't think that way. And I know I'm probably offending some of our listeners, but
it's like guys, I'm the in group. I love milk.
It's like like going, I love fucking USC. They're great. Go Trojans.
It's actually a little different.
It's pretty
different.
It's very specific.
120 Division I colleges.
But still, there's like 120 movies that come out every weekend.
It's a really good point. But anyway, someone replied to me on Twitter and said, you should see what happened to Anderson. Because I'm like, what? Oh, I'm like, and I did the math. I realized you did your little review. So I'm excited to hear about it. I avoid those intentionally because I don't want to assault the mind and know what's coming. I want to arrive at a place of organic destination. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a 2021 film that is in theaters now. It was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. He, the director of Short Term 12, which we both enjoyed. Simu Liu is the titular
Brian,
Shang-Chi.
No one likes that.
Aquafina, Tony Leung, Menger Zong, Fala Chen, Michelle Yeoh, and Benedict Wong round out the cast. This is sitting at 92% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to lose gambling this week because of that. Like I said, it's in theaters now. Let's talk about Shang-Chi.
Let's do it.
Shang.
You know, it was actually kind of clever. I'm going to be honest. I had a really hard time remembering the name of it until
the reveal.
Watching the movie.
Yeah.
And they
that was a clever moment.
It was pretty clever, right? Like they spent some really good time on how you can remember that. I think that they had some forethought, and they're like, "Hey, people are probably gonna have a hard time with this. Why don't we put something in the movie where we compare it with a name that all dumb Americans know?"
That's interesting. I imagine Gio's working on a long email already.
I've already got the email. Yeah.
Is he Sean in the comics?
Please. I don't know. Please stop, Brian. Stop. You know what,
Gio? Email Anderson and let him know if it's Sean in the comics.
Sorry to derail. I've been wondering this all week though. I had an epiphany, one of those like oh my god moments.
Okay.
Specifically about Gio, and instead of asking him myself, I thought I'd save it for the show.
Great.
So many of you know Giovanni, right? He's a staple on the program,
friend of the show, contributor
to the show. He helps with gambling every week in, week out. He's been immensely helpful to me over the years, and he's
explaining Marvel plot lines and characters.
I don't care, but Superfan Giovanni is what his name is, and I've always taken that name.
It's not his name.
That's his name, God given. I've always taken that moniker, Super Fan Giovanni, because of his super fandom of Loveline, most notably Adam Carolla. But just this week, it occurred to me:
is he a fan of Super?
He's just a fan. Like he's super fan, right? Like, if he likes something, it's not super fan of Loveline Giovanni.
Yes.
It's super fan of everything Giovanni.
Gio sent us a picture of his abode, a partial picture, and it is festooned.
But did you ever make that connection? Did you think it was super fan of Loveline? Because I always just assumed that it was like in reference to Loveline, but I'm thinking like it's just he is like the ultimate fan of anything he likes. And it's a lot
I
of
always made the connection, of course, to Loveline / Mr. Carolla. But yeah, Gio has a gene in him that allows him to put his full fandom into anything he falls in love with.
And the amount, like Candyman, I guess because of Clive Barker. Who, he's not a fan of the man anymore. He's let me know that in a long email quite some time ago. But he doesn't really care for Clive Barker's personal decisions. But yeah, I had no idea that he was going to go so hard in the paint in the crease for Candyman. Oh my God!
I know that was one of Gio's favorite Loveline guests. Does everything emanate from Loveline? Is that the hub to all the sparks?
That could be like the origin of everything. Yeah. That's the master brain where it all began.
I bet he liked Candyman first.
Like I'll mention something. He'll be like, he was on the program, and then he'll give me the exact date and how I liked him or didn't like him in reference to something I said after he was on or off. All right. Okay. So
you sat down to watch Shang-Chi. And when did you know there was trouble? What was the first signs of something alarming?
You know what? I have some bad news for you, for everyone, really. I don't have the actual audio.
Well,
it's unfortunate.
That's bad news.
Yeah. It is in the video, which I'll link to, but I have it on my phone. I could airdrop it to myself, but they're all the raw clips. I don't have the actual cut.
I would like to hear well, here's the thing, Anderson. You should be playing those on this show because...
Oh, Jesus, I hate these lectures, guys. Right now, he's going to give me an explanation as to why I should be doing it on this show and on another format or another platform. And this is, you heard of the show. And Brian, you're a very self-serving son of a bitch. You know that?
I'm not at all. I'm trying to help you, man.
Help me out, Brian.
Let's see how many people have watched your video.
Jesus Christ.
64 human beings have given your video a thumbs up.
What are you talking?
I would say you would get a lot more eyeballs on that video if you teased it here.
I know. I was planning on it, but unfortunately, the drive that I have it on, I don't have with me for the first time in many, many weeks.
Can you email it to yourself?
I can do the raw audio.
I haven't heard it.
I can do the raw audio. It's going to be raw audio. So.
Put it in the microphone. You've done that before.
No. I can airdrop it to my. This is horrible, kids. I understand it. I can play a sampling. Okay.
No problem with this.
I can play a sampling. This is not good.
You've pirated the. Are we going to get a fine?
Sorry. We make a good team.
Here's a little comment. Dr. Phil, because the bus driver looked like Dr. Phil, and that was his comment there. I don't think I even included that. Oh, son of a bitch. I'm really pissed at myself for not having this on hand. I'm sorry.
Oh, hell no. Screw you. I'm not doing this. If we make it to the elevator, we can hop in on the next floor. See, we're out of options. We have...
Son of a bitch. I have 9 minutes of audio, and I pulled the 2 minutes. Oh, there's an example. He was making that noise throughout. Tell your dog to be quiet. Why is your what? God damn it! Everything, son of everything.
Well, don't mark that. For the listeners,
Okay.
There's no one else here, but
I'll paint a picture.
there's nobody to silence my dog.
Everything that every time anything would happen that was remotely like interesting, which it was a action
There's
movie,
a lot
right?
going on.
He would go, oh, 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 oh. Now, I knew I was in trouble in the very beginning, before the movie began, because I'm sitting there, and it's a very crowded theater, the most crowded theater I've been in since COVID, right? And it was, I'd say, 70% capacity. And thank God there was a seat in between he and I. I think it was, I looked, like you can do the thing where you try and buy another ticket, and then you can see, I'm like, oh,
Sure.
Jesus Christ, I'm in trouble, right? Because I saw all of the seats that were taken. Somebody was supposed to be sitting right next to me.
No shit.
Lucky he didn't sit next to me. He left that gap, but then he started just unloading all of his fucking food, Brian. A full bag of Lay's.
Oh, no.
Some kind of unidentifiable thing in tinfoil. And there's
He
some
had
other
like barbecue?
he treated
leftovers.
like he was treating this, and it's not the first time I've been around people like this in the theater, treating it as though it was an event, as though it was like a baseball game.
The irony is that I saw it at an AMC dine-in theater in Marina Del Rey, so like actually with the food, and I didn't get anything. Great seats though.
That's not cool to talk about at all. What? The irony is that maybe. Not really. No. The irony is I saw it at a dine-in place and I didn't eat. There's neither here nor there. That fucking Lay's bag took up a lot of the soundtrack, right? And then it was towards the beginning. And for those of you who've seen Shang-Chi, there's a fight scene with a woman, and the dude gets his comeuppance a little bit, but then he's falling in love for her as well, and he gets thrown into a little pond, and that's where
it's very Crouching Tiger.
Very Crouching. I was worried that it was going to be a lot of that, and thank God, because I'm not a Crouching Tiger guy, not at all. I did not enjoy. So I think the dude gets flipped. Tony gets flipped into the pond, and you hear this guy going, "Little bitch." It's like, fuck.
Was he developmentally?
No, he's actually making fun of his friends during the trailers because he got there late too, like 18 minutes. The dude talked to me right when he sat down. He leans over. He goes, "Hey, have they shown like the Spider-Man trailer yet?" I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't. Please don't. I gave him like the brush off right away, right?
Don't speak to me.
So yeah, he was like really concerned that he might have missed the Spider-Man trailer, which is available everywhere. I mean, you just open your phone right now.
On your phone,
open your phone to any kind of like web browser. It's probably gonna like pop up. It's everywhere.
The YouTube app will suggest it to you.
So yeah, he was making these noises, and then but when the trailers were, there was a trailer for something bad, something comic book related, and one of his friends said, "Oh, it's like the cheap Thor," and then there was nothing, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you thought everyone was gonna laugh. You thought the whole theater was gonna laugh about that, didn't you?" And
did he say it loud enough for people to hear?
I could hear him. I'm sitting right next. And then I thought, okay, good. He's shaming his friend who was trying to be funny guy,
good.
right? Turns out he was the alpha of the group, so he was like, "Don't tread on my. That's my bit.
material."
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you got a little taste of it, right? You got a little taste of it there.
A little, but I'd like some more.
I wish I could do it, Brian. There's nothing I can do.
I'd like a lot more.
I don't want to just play raw audio through a microphone. I mean, we're better than that.
We're not though.
He reached the gate!
I mean, I'm giving things away from the movie.
No one knows what you're talking about. Did you get the little bitch?
No. That was him. That dude was snorting. That was him. Fucker. Ooh. That was him. That was him. The dude's sitting a seat away from me,
Why
too.
is he making these loud noises? Was he genuinely impressed by the movie?
Dude, I was giving him looks, too. And, Brian, if this was a movie that I was pumped about, Words would have been exchanged? Yes, for sure. Like the time, let me remind you, when I went and saw Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in Westwood Village opening day with my little sister, and some fuckhead had a red laser pointer.
Thank God those would have
I stood up, and before the movie started, I said, "Whoever you are, you got to stop that because I will find you. I can't have it. I just can't have it." And luckily, it didn't. But yeah, I would have. The only thing that modern technology is the only thing that kept me from getting in a full-on conversation with this guy. And it's not the first time. In fact, I was trying to make sure I didn't have any repeats of for our quote show that we got coming up, right? So I texted you and you let me know like when we did the first one. So I went back and I scanned through that, Brian, our first show that we did, top 5 quotes that we most often use. And I was in the middle of a story telling a story about going to see Booksmart. And it's funny because that similar story, except it was a mentally challenged couple and they were adorable. So I accepted it, but it went on and on and on. Like the level of interruptions and conversations going on behind me with that mentally challenged couple, and I think they were getting it on too because she was saying not in public, and he was saying it was okay. And then there was a sex scene in Booksmart, and she was going, "You better not be watching." And he was like, "I'm not watching, I promise." It was adorable. And then they embraced at the end, like when we were leaving the theater, they embraced in the doorway so no one could get out. It was the best, and that's the only population that I would allow such behavior from. This guy was the worst.
Thankfully, I have not encountered too much of this, but the ones that I have, because of the theater I often go to, the one you don't like, the very nice theater.
They're Nazis over there.
Well, often daytime showings with very old people who have trouble hearing. Mm-hmm. What did he say? Right. Why is she doing that? There's a lot of whisper yelling.
I apologize. I did not bring in I have 2 full minutes of cut audio, and I have a lot going on, buddy. All right. I thought I had it on my computer. Jillian? It's on my external drive. I'll tell you what. I'll play it next week. All right. I'll play it next week. In the meantime, and this is not a setup. I'm not trying to even though it'd be nice for people to watch my little videos that I do. I should point out my videos. I'm not cutting these things. This is just me, unfiltered, unedited, rolling right through. I don't cut. I don't edit. Try and show you some clips of the actual trailer and whatnot below me, but there's no cutting away. There's no cheats. It's me, unfiltered, talking about movies, Brad.
Just like this.
Kind of like this.
Except you marked that shit to cut something.
I mean, if we're looking for something and there's like 30 seconds of dead air for the listener, I'll mark it.
Or a dog barking.
No, I didn't.
Shang-Chi! We talked about that. Let's get into Shang-Chi.
Did we talk about if it was good? Yeah.
There was... Oh, if it's good or not? It's definitely a good movie. For me, it was a 3-star movie. Perfectly enjoyable, perfectly acceptable. I didn't fall in love with it. I wasn't swept away. I just thought it was good, above average, fun.
The comedy, I didn't realize how much it bothered me until 3 days later, and Hotel California for some reason popped off my head.
They really lean on Awkwafina for the
and she's funny, but not in this role. But with this material.
That's a well that goes to, I think, too many times.
Too many times, yeah.
And speaking of going to a well too few or too many times, there's a cameo in the middle of this movie that's like, oh, that's interesting. I wondered about this character. Really runs out of steam, and you forget that this character's still in the movie by the end.
But they use him for comedy. Numerous times.
Yes.
And I don't like to see my Kingsley doing that kind of...
you have to mention it.
No one knows who he is. If you're a fan of this movie, you've already seen it, or you haven't, or you're not even picking up on who the actor is that I just said.
You literally just said his name.
I didn't say his full name.
Oh, my God. It's weird how you're so strict on me for mentioning the slightest spoiler. But
why is it a spoiler? He's a character it's not even a cameo because he shows up throughout the movie. A cameo is somebody who's in one scene. Holy shit, this movie's 8.0 on IMDb. Everyone settle the fuck down. How about that?
What did you think? Like I said, 3 out of 5.
It's a 3-star movie. The action sequences are above and beyond. It's what you kind of come to expect with a Marvel movie.
The fight scenes are pretty sophisticated for a Marvel movie.
By the end, though, I think the listener... You
must have been in heaven. You love your fight scenes.
The listener... Yeah, you know what? These fight scenes were actually good. They were heavily choreographed, but I appreciated them. I could actually see what was going on, and I could see how much went into them. It was a nice blend of CGI along with actual stunts being performed. What do you think of One Arm Guy?
I was just thinking about him. I enjoyed him.
Does he really have one arm? I meant to look that up.
Razor Fist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does? Like the actor.
Oh, the actor.
Or are we going to cancel him and cancel everyone?
I have no idea.
Should we cancel?
Oh, you have to? You're thinking you have to use a amputee?
Oh, yeah, you absolutely have to. I think he might have been.
Let's look him up.
I mean,
keep talking.
I have nothing more to say about this movie. I didn't take any notes. I was too busy recording my my classmate. Some of these clips, too. I got 9 clips. Some of them, he doesn't do anything. But pretty much all of them, he does. Especially if someone's getting punched. Son of a bitch. I'm so mad at myself right now. Right there. It's just throughout the whole thing. Like he's letting the characters on screen know that he's concerned for their safety. Whoa! Oh! Fuck
I have to assume that Razor Fist is definitely not a amputee because he played Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago in Creed 2, who had two hands as of at least 3 years ago.
All right, so this we got to cancel.
He also appears to have two hands
Brian?
in his picture here.
We will never ever mention this movie again. Let's move on.
I feel like there's more to say.
No, I'd love to, but I can't. It's a shame too because it's a good movie. It's a fine movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
You know what? I mean, I liked it more than Black Panther. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it as much as Black Widow.
I think I agree with that. You know, and also a thing I think about now, and Giovanni, you can put this in your email.
Please don't.
Every time now I see a Marvel character introduced who has amazing powers, like the dude with the 10 rings, I'm like, all right, that's great. Where the fuck were you when Thanos came around?
That's a good point.
Were you not available?
Well, it was before they were getting a lot of pressure to diversify.
What do you mean? Oh, I see. The Avengers, they had a green guy.
You see the problem, the fault in that?
That's pretty diverse.
Yeah, but there's no group of people that can identify.
True. That's actually true.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
See the problem there.
Yeah, it's pretty much Benedict Wong and Black Panther, and that's it.
Listen,
I guess Falcon.
The Avengers franchise tentpole, which I thought would be starting to wane, and it seems not to be, and it's troublesome to me. But at the same time, it's like one of those things where without them, like our movie theaters closed down even more. So probably, or is there something better that's filling in its spot? I don't know. But really, I think the reason why they are where they are, and they can continue to be so, is because they did something remarkable, which is get people to care with the Civil War and the End Game, and they got people to actually emotionally respond to those movies, including people like me, who I'm like a noob to the whole franchise. I don't give a fuck near here nor there, and it got me a little bit, not to an extent where I was like bawling hysterically or anything, but I was pissed at myself because I was emotionally affected by some of the things that happen in those movies.
You're 100% right. That's a really good insight because someone like me who's just had no interest in comic books or comic movies whatsoever, I was invested in those ones by the end. Like I was looking forward to Endgame and I thought it was a really good movie. And on top of that, I was doing research today for Shang-Chi and my mind drifted to like, oh yeah, remember when like all the failed Marvel, like they tried so hard to get the Hulk going and it never worked. They tried so hard to get Fantastic Four going and it never worked because they're fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like the Hulk movies are of varying quality. My point is, there was a time when making a comic book movie, Fantastic Four or whatever, was a bad idea because the movie would fucking flop. It would cost a lot of money, and you'd look like an idiot. And now it's the biggest, most powerful franchise in movie history.
Well, the part of that is they're trying to find their footing, the tone, right? And they were doing that throughout. Like, look at what they did with Thor, and then they came back with the new Thor, and it was much better. Like they had to figure that Hulk, same thing. Like Ang Lee's Hulk did not do the trick, but with putting some comedy there and giving it to I love him. What's his name? Casting it properly. No.
Oh, Banna.
No, the new guy. The guy
fucking what's his name? Ruffalo.
Yes, thank you. It's a lot of like trial and error, right? But also the main thing is that CGI wasn't fit to do what it needs to be done with the entire every single movie. Every single Marvel movie relies you sat through the credits, right? I didn't sit through them. I got up to get the fuck away from that guy, but I stood there so I could have an idea, and it was like such a they're always a letdown. The little end parts.
I'm always angry at myself for staying.
Yeah, but I was marvel. Pardon the pun. At the names, the list of names, Brian, in the various.
It's the
CGI.
biggest part of the credits.
It looks like the World War II memorial. I mean, it's just name after name after name. All of those people did something to affect the cartoon that we just watched. Right?
True.
But yeah.
Shang-Chi was fine.
All right, let's talk about other movies, please.
No, boy.
Oh, boy.
We should have saved Shang-Chi to break it up.
What do you want to talk first? Tribe? Let's do the Tribe.
The Tribe.
Fuck yeah, to the Tribe.
The Tribe is a 2014 film assigned to us by
Byron Klosterman.
I was about to say Klosterman. I forgot Byron, which is close to my name.
Lives out there in the the Maryland area.
Oh, that's not
Chesapeake
Malibu
Bay.
Is that the Malibu of Maryland?
I misspoke, Brian. Why don't we move on? Why don't we move past it?
The Tribe is assigned to us by who? Directed by Miroslav.
Miroslav.
God damn it. Slavash Pits. Slavash Pitsky. Slavash Pitsky. There's a lot of vowels in there that don't make sense. This is the last film he directed. He hasn't directed a film since.
Miroslav Slavitsky. Slabovitsky.
There's a Slabash in there.
Slabashvitsky. There it is. Slabashvitsky.
But why do you get Fitsky from? It's P-Y.
Slabashpitsky. Oh, that's it. Slabashpitsky. Why is this guy not made another movie? All right, before we talk about it, just let me tell you that when I talk about ballsy filmmaking, I'm talking about things like this. This movie is ballsy from beginning to end. Did it work? That's the question. I'm very curious to see if it worked for you.
88% of Rotten Tomatoes. I do worship the altar, so I have to respect this movie. This won the Nespresso Grand Prize at Cannes.
George Clooney there to make Slabitsky an espresso.
They let you know off the bat before the movie starts. The little title card says this movie contains no translations and no subtitles.
Yeah,
it's entirely in Ukrainian sign language.
Yeah, I think they did that wisely so that people won't be desperately trying to get their CC, the closed captions going.
I tried that.
So I appreciated that, them letting us know right off the bat.
I turned on the closed captions and it was just like door closes, bell rings.
Yeah, turn that shit off. Yeah, that's just
I kept it on.
You got to turn that off. So there's no score. There's no score in this movie.
Is there no score?
No score.
Oh.
There's no subtitles. And also the director made an interesting choice, which is to not allow the actors to make the guttural sounds that many of them probably make. Because if you've been around people who are hard of hearing, usually they make sound while they're communicating, especially if they're fired up.
There was a little bit of like...
A little bit.
But not much.
But, and I read comments and I read some other things about this movie. I was fascinated when it was over. And let me ask you, do you look at the Rotten Tomatoes before you watch the movie or after?
It really depends. Sometimes if I'm cheating for gambling, I'll watch it before.
Something like The Tribe. Do you immediately run to the altar?
I saw it before because when you Google it, it tells you where it's streaming and it'll just tell you the score.
Got to get off that, Brian. I'm telling
you.
But
it was right there on Google.
It's not good.
It was right there on Google.
Imagine if you before you met someone, you got their Google, you got their Rotten. I would not.
I would love to get their credit score.
Imagine I'd be like a 10%, but you love me. I said and then I switched to love.
You really went hard there. So it was an interesting choice not to have any subtitles, any translation whatsoever. I'm not sure if it added anything. Like it was a bold choice, an interesting choice. Did it make the movie any better?
Okay, so here's the deal. Tell you what the movie is about. So it opens up at a bus stop, and it's a static shot, and the camera's just sitting there on a guy who's talking to an older woman, and it's a long shot too. It's got a long lens there, and we can see the full. Actually, it's a 24. He used a 24 frame, a 24 lens.
No one cares about that.
It's a wide lens. So you can see a whole lot, right?
Yes.
Of the picture of what's going on. He used a 24 millimeter lens throughout the entire film, which is rare.
It's a very observational film. The camera often lingers.
So we're there for, it's probably like an opening 6-7 minutes where there's very little going on other than this young man trying to get directions from a woman, as far as you can tell. And there's just buses are literally coming and going, and they're still there behind the bus, and then he gets the directions, and now we're following him behind him. When the camera does move, it's noticeable because it's locked down so often, right? So then he goes into this old school that's decrepit, it's falling apart, paint peeling on the walls.
Ukraine looks awesome.
It does not look like a very
it's not very posh.
It looks like it's challenged for
they're all wearing
finances.
Uniforms. They're all wearing uniforms.
He goes in there, and we soon learn that it's a school for the hard of hearing, the school for the deaf. And he's the new guy, and he looks like a buff Michael Cera, like he's a thick Michael Cera looking guy, right?
That's an interesting way to describe it. He looks like an average teenager. Yeah, he's not exceptionally buff,
but compared to Michael Cera,
sure,
he's fucking the Hulk
on the scale.
Yeah. But he looks like Michael Cera. He's got like a Michael Cera vibe to him.
Sure.
And he starts to assimilate, and we watch him take part in the monotony that is going to a classroom, and we're sitting in like an office with the dean of students.
Right.
So
it's like a boarding school, we should point out, because they live and sleep there.
They live and sleep there, and there's a lot of communication, and it's all being done through sign language. And Brian was asking if it added or subtracted, and part of this,
I didn't say. I meant, did it add anything? And then this is a better movie because of this artistic choice.
I have to say yes. And I was talking about this with Byron yesterday while sitting in the parking lot at the beach. I got to slip away and talk movies a little bit with Byron. And I I got to say, if it was filled with subtitles and everything that they were communicating back and forth was on the screen, it probably would have been boring as can be. It was really fun. It was almost like a series of tableaus, like vignettes. Like we're just sitting there, a lot of long takes, and
a lot of long takes. The camera does move, by the way. They follow him through the halls.
Yeah, when it does move, it moves.
There's some pretty cool shots.
You can tell, like you can really notice the moving because it's locked down for such long stretches, right? And what I found really interesting and kept me completely engaged, which I know that that's not how everyone's going to experience this movie. A lot of people are going to be bored fucking stiff with this movie, but I really enjoyed trying to figure out what was being communicated. A lot of the time it was probably mundane. Sure. But I'm like, what are they?
When it's important, you can figure it out. You can follow.
And you can usually, you can absolutely follow the story. Yeah. And like I said, if I was actually reading, back and forth, I'm sure there's a lot of monotony and mundane behavior going on. But it also made me feel like I was an outsider with a front row seat to something that I wasn't really a part of, that I wasn't supposed to be a part of because it's not my world. And it really fucking worked for me.
Really?
It really worked.
Oh, nice. I thought it was a very good movie. I found it very powerful.
Good.
And
good.
Bold filmmaking. I'm still on the fence of you're right though. You bring up a good point, which is whatever dialogue we missed, quote unquote, it probably wasn't that exciting to begin with. You can follow the story. You know what's going on. You know what the characters are feeling and thinking. So pretty good. It's funny you mentioned about the grunting or the guttural sounds, because I actually made a note at one point when they were they're wrestling, they're fucking around the dorms, right? But they're doing it totally silently. They're not even they're just boys being boys,
right?
In their underwear grappling, but there's no sounds.
I read a bunch of
movie, but it's they basically making no noise.
I read a slew of the. I was really curious what the general public would think of this movie, and I read a bunch.
I don't think the general public saw this
of reviews, written reviews on IMDb from users, and it was mostly very high or very low, and a lot of the very low ones were annoyed with the hype that came around it. I guess when it came out, 2014 is when this movie came out. A lot of people, and then that's where some people were complaining about the lack of guttural sounds that would have been more authentic, I think. But I think that what the filmmaker was careful not to do was to make them seem
like
even
words.
If because they weren't mutes, right? But if they were making that guttural, it would have had a completely different tone. The entire movie would have been different to people who are not around the hard of hearing very often. It would have almost made them monstrous. If it was an entire movie of them just sounding like Elephant Man. Not to be insensitive, but it would have made the whole movie given it a different flavor for sure.
A different tone for sure.
I should say the director too, also not hard of hearing. He had to have an interpreter there to communicate with all of the actors.
It's a bold movie. It's a good movie. It's also quietly disturbing. You know what I mean?
It's disturbing. Yeah.
There's parts where I'm like, I will not forget this.
Oh,
movie.
Never. Yeah, I'm glad.
I'm more palatable. I find disturbing movies more palatable when they're good. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
There's a so should we even get into what the actual plot of the movie is?
I think just a little bit.
Because it's I'm wondering what's in it for the girls.
I mean, that's the life. All right. So Michael Cera is being he's an outsider. He's a noob. And there's an established hierarchy. There's an established hierarchy, exactly. There's a tribe. It's a gang, and these teenagers that are in this school run amok, and with the help of some of the teachers, you even learn. And there's a couple semi-attractive girls that also
semi-trucks
live there who are.
Well, there's one attractive girl and one who I would thought might have been transgendered.
Oh, Brian, that's not.
I'm serious.
But they're all. We didn't even mention that every single one of these actors too. They're not actors. They're people that are deaf that he found. That some of them might have taken acting class and whatnot, but they're not. They don't have pictures on IMDb. Mm-hmm. They're in the Ukraine, and they're all good. This was well acted. This is. I never thought. Yeah. But a part of that is I can't hear what they're saying.
True.
Yeah, they didn't have to.
You have to take their signing as authentic.
But they're emoting. So these kids are scrappy to say the least. They make money in
they make money
unsavory ways.
Creatively.
And the poor girls are, sold for quite a bit. And Michael Cera, he is navigating through this new tribe and is jumped in, and then it kind of goes from there. And it ends in a very, very spectacular fashion. Now, here's the real question before
there are semi-trucks involved.
Did you... I want to talk more about this movie, but I don't want to ruin it because I know
There's a
that
backup beeper that goes unheard.
there's a section of our listenership that will love this movie. It sounds like you liked it quite a
I
bit.
did like it. It's very good. It's hard to watch it. It's not fun, but it's very good.
It's
Very
not
well
fun,
done.
but yeah, you're engaged.
It's kind of like
you'll never forget.
I don't know, Leaving Las Vegas or the aforementioned 12 Years a Slave. Like these are really good movies that I don't care to revisit again, but they're exceptional.
This is interesting, and I hate to even admit this, but every now and again, probably about a third of the time, I can't watch a movie all the way through because of my lifestyle and everything that's going on. So I'll watch them in two halves, right? And that was the case with this one. And when that happens, a lot of the time, I'm halfway through a movie. I got to pause it. I got to get on with my life, get Atticus going, and then I can watch the second half later that night.
You sold him to a trucker.
No. A lot of the time, I'll be thinking of the movie that I'm halfway through, and I'll be like, God, I don't want to go back to that fucking thing. I don't give a shit. The Tribe, I could not wait to get back to The Tribe. I'm like, I got to see where we're going here. There's things, too, where they don't just lay it up and spoon feed you at all. There's these bags filled with like little plushy toys. You have no idea what they're for, what's going on with them until you do. Here's my main question with the Michael Cera character. Did you like him? Were you pulling for him?
During the extended 69 scene, I was definitely rooting for him.
There's a lot of explicit sex in this movie as well.
No, I mean, no, he's definitely a bit of an anti-hero.
He's an anti-hero for sure, but he does things that on paper I would hate this fucking guy. So at one point he's a pariah, and no one wants them in their dorm room, and he just has to go sit. He just makes his way into a dorm room that is housed solely with a guy, a deaf kid with Down syndrome. Who
That's right.
He was a bit of a dick. I already saw him take the kid's food earlier, so he was established as a bit of an asshole as well. But he goes. So our Michael Cera character goes into the dorm room, and he's all dejected, and he's a pariah, like I said, and he just sits there and. The Down syndrome kid is eating a jam out of a jar.
Yeah.
And Michael Cera character just takes a toilet paper roll and just throws it as hard as he can, and it just ricochets off the Down syndrome kid's shoulder, and the Down syndrome kid just starts to cry.
Starts to moan, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm supposed to hate him so much at this moment, and if I read this on paper, I'd be like, what a fucking horrible.
This is the main character of our story.
But I somehow forgave him, even though he became a controlling freak. He was trying. It becomes Taxi Driver essentially.
Interesting.
And I loved it. I absolutely
really
love this
good.
movie.
There is there's an abortion scene.
A lot of guttural sounds there.
That was a really unpleasant. I didn't enjoy watching that, and I don't think I'll.
I don't know if it was really. I'd be worried about you if you didn't enjoy that, Brian.
Yeah, it's true. Enjoy is the wrong word. I had a bad reaction to that scene.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I
Imagine if you were a woman.
I found it very unpleasant. Again, if I found it pleasant, it'd be weird.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I focused on is the placement of the instruments were a little bit high, so I could tell they were faking it, which I was thankful for. We didn't see an actual the speculum, and
maybe she had a long vagina.
it'd be high. It'd be a high vagina, very high, because they were above. So that's nice. I wonder if that was the actor's choice. Like she's like, let's not actually do this.
It's a creative choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can we?
interesting.
Anyways, The Tribe. I saw it on Canopy. Where'd you see it, Brian?
I rented it on Amazon.
I really, really like this movie. So thank you very much, Byron. This is one that will sit with me forever. It will probably be referred back to on this program.
Intense.
Yeah. 2 hours and 6 minutes of engagement. I mean, you're going to be engaged, and you're going to be in a world that you would otherwise never be.
Oh, you're going to pay
in.
attention to this movie.
Yeah. And I think that if there were subtitles, it would become monotonous. I think it was a smart choice not to. It gave you that feeling that you're a part of something that you're not supposed to be a part of. You're always on the outside of this thing, but you're trying to figure it out.
It's not your world.
No, it's not.
Interesting. So should we save Amazon for the next episode?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Because we're going to talk about Snowtown, a.k.a. The Snowtown Murders. 2011 film directed by Justin Kurzel, I'm going to assume. This is his feature debut, starring Lucas Pittaway and Daniel Henshaw, among others. This is 83% of Rotten Tomatoes. I rented this as well. It was an Australian film, Anderson, kind of a bizarro version of The Castle, about downtrodden people. Poor people who live in a not upscale neighborhood.
No. I read a quote from Roger Ebert, and it was very clever.
Did he actually review this?
Yeah, and I'm going to butcher it, but he said it centers around a family that seems to pass every waking moment by staring into the abyss. There was a lot of them just sitting in this shanty of a house, just a really shitty house.
Filled with disreputable people.
Just staring like at TV or a slack-jawed, staring at the wall, staring at nothing.
Right.
It had a real Gummo vibe to it.
Yes, a very dirty vibe.
Yes.
So this is a true story, I came to find out, of... it really unfolds. I don't want to give too much away. I mean, murders is right in the title. So how much can we say about this, Anderson? By the way, go to the IMDb image for this if you're looking at it. Not indicative of what goes on in this film.
Not the IMDb?
The image that comes up?
This is what I'm looking at, and it's just the kids standing there.
Oh, the one you just passed. It was the still.
Oh, the
two of them looking lovingly at each other. It's like that is not indicative.
There's another poster. I wonder if I can find it where it looks like he's a flying tomato, the lead kid, and
Shaun White.
Yeah, he looks a lot like Shaun White, and he looks like he's into what he's doing, but that's not the case. Right there. This is the Shaun White lookalike poster. This is the one that I see all the time. Whenever I'd see this movie, he looks a little Shaun White-ish right there.
Shaun Whitey.
All right, that's not so this movie is really about it's a character study of the lead kid. So it's a family with a mom, who she's gotten around a little bit. She loves her kids, but
she has three boys.
She makes, as far as I can tell, 3 boys. She makes horrible decisions and choices. And she lives in a shitty neighborhood, and she's had some shitty male suitors come by who are more into the children than her.
That could be equally.
It could be equally, but I don't think so. I get the sense that the neighbor from across the street was more interested in the children. And I mean, the Polaroid picture shots made me feel like I was going to be, stormed by the FBI.
Yeah,
like, the fact that was on in my house, I'm like, oh my God.
What am I doing?
Am I going to be put on a list for watching this?
Nowhere near the worst images.
Oh, no. It gets way worse from there. Like I said, the poster, genuinely disturbing is one of the quotes on the poster. But I love this movie.
It's very good.
Yes.
I mean, it's very effective. This is a hard recommend for people. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd be able to recommend this one before The Tribe, I think. Though.
Really?
I think so.
Well, yeah, it's maybe more accessible.
Story-wise, yeah.
It's got a little bit of remember Blue Caprice, the movie that
I never watched. I heard it was dull.
It's okay.
Watching people wait to shoot people for long periods of time doesn't sound enjoyable.
So the Anderson was laying out the plot with the very basic plot, which is a new man comes into this woman's life, and he is he's a little more charismatic. He's more principled.
He's the best.
He's a little more principled.
I love that guy.
You do?
Yeah, he was really.
I don't think she'd like him.
He beady eyes.
He had beady eyes.
I enjoyed his company though. I wanted to hang out with the dude.
Daniel Henshaw.
Very charismatic.
The actor.
Very charismatic.
And it's a lot. So this movie ends up being about what it's like to fall basically under the spell of someone. You know what I mean? I imagine this has a lot of crossover with like cult victims.
Yeah.
You find that person who sort of, the
you
person
mold them.
who identifies like someone young and weak, and you mold them. At one point they're getting the same haircut, literally groom.
Yeah,
they're the same haircut.
The older brother, Jesus Christ Almighty!
I felt bad for him.
Did you?
Well,
what about the scene that sets up? So they specifically have a scene. They show you what the older brother is capable of in the hallway, Brian, so you don't feel bad for him.
I imagine he was a victim of some abuse.
Think he probably was. Yeah.
Having listened to Loveline a lot over the years.
This is a dumpster fire that is very sad and unfortunate. And
you're talking about amongst the characters.
The whole setup, the whole scheme, everything. It's humanity at its worst, but I fucking loved it. Loved the poor kangaroo stew.
Oh boy. I'm going to take a step back from fucking loved it and say I really liked it. It's a good movie for sure. What made you sign this?
This has been on the top of my list for years. And the cheapskate that I am, I kept waiting for it to stream somewhere, and I finally just said, fuck it. Because every time I'd look at my, right now, The Killing Fields is at the top of my list. I'm looking at my list, and The Killing Fields is right there for the longest, for probably 2-3 years. It said The Snowtown Murders. It had been recommended to me by a number of listeners over the years. And I finally just pulled the trigger because I wanted to no longer see that in my notes at the top. And boy, was I glad I did, just because it's not a movie for the sake of, it's not disturbing for the sake of being disturbing. It's the style in which it was shot.
It's a slow burn, too.
Yeah, it is a slow burn. And it's got that super realism to it because of all the handheld. And I think it being a first-time filmmaker helped it along in being cinema verite, as they say.
Did you find the charismatic character? I guess we have to call him the antagonist of the film. Did you find him to be a principled villain? Like yes, he does horrible things, but they're the name.
He's got a little bit of a Dexter.
Principle.
Yeah, like he chooses his victims. He's got
a good top 5, by the way.
He's got his own little scale in his mind, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, okay, I'm gonna say this very generally, but the final shot of the movie, the final scene, the final victim, if you will, what did he do? Why was he selected to be?
I think that's the whole. We can't get. I think it was suggesting that they've crossed over. Into
okay, because the character didn't feel like it was introduced, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, he must die.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was the final. Like they've
gone too far.
Yeah. Like a very good movie. You got to have the stomach for it, though. This movie's not for everybody. It's funny because some people would they have no problem watching Candyman and enjoy that, but there's a lot of slashing, a lot of guts, a lot of blood. But they would not be able to watch a movie like this, I think, because it's so real and it feels so. There's a scene.
A toenail gets removed.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. There's a scene early on where they're trying to send a message. They're trying to drive a neighbor out of the neighborhood.
Well, you can probably say which neighbor. You can probably figure out which neighbor it is.
Yeah, it's a guy who was taking pictures of the kids. Polaroid guy. And the new guy did.
Daniel Henschel, I believe, is the character.
Yeah, John Bunting. Which he's the new boyfriend. He's the knight in shining armor, right? The white knight who's come to save the family and save the mom, and he's very likable and charismatic and takes an interest in her boys, but not in the Polaroid shirts off fashion. And he's like, hey, that fucker across the street, let's take care of it. And that's when he begins the grooming of the middle son, who he's taking a liking to. Jamie. He's taking a liking to Jamie, the middle son, who's the lead in this movie, and he says, "Hey, we'll send a message." And the message it involves getting many kangaroo parts, which you see the kangaroos being butchered in the backyard.
They have a hard time with
cleaver.
I can't imagine they have the sharpest, newest machete,
and then they
a hatchet.
Mush up the bits and the parts and the heads and all that in large buckets, and then they proceed to walk around, all uncut. Like they're just the camera's there. You're with these two doing this act, and then you follow them across the street where they just slosh the side with the kangaroo chum. They slosh the side of the dude's house.
And his
Polaroid
couch,
dude.
and his couch on his porch.
You probably can't use that couch anymore.
I would imagine if you're going to sell it on Craigslist, you have to disclose that it's once covered in kangaroo parts.
You remember that rumor going around that Jack in the Box had kangaroo meat? I've
heard various versions of this. Yeah.
Most bizarre. Anyways,
is that true?
I don't think so. It'd be a weird meat to import.
Remember, I was a taste tester for Jack in the Box.
I never knew this.
You really didn't?
Never knew this.
I was a secret shopper.
What?
Yeah.
You'd go in there and be like, the tacos seemed a little extra.
Yes, I'd have to. Well, I would have written. This is so. Jack in the Box is a little behind the times.
You're such a narc. Look at you.
Well, it was my job. I had to hold it.
Of course, you gravitate. You must have felt so fucking good going up to the counter, like knowing in your head that you were a secret shopper. Like these guys have no idea.
Felt all right.
Oh my god. How would you ever give up that job? It seems like it's perfect for you.
I still do it on the weekends. There were a few times where I was like thinking to myself, like, if they only knew.
I know. I'm sure you did.
If they only knew the power I wield right now.
They better be nice to me.
Better be nice to me. I was like Milton. I'm going to burn down the building.
All right, you got a story about that before we wrap this fucker up?
That's one of the reasons I got fat. This would have been like 2001.
Really?
Yeah.
It was right before I started working with you.
Before we started working together.
Really?
Yeah.
You just roll it. How'd it work? They give you like a list of different Jack in the Boxes and you'd roll it.
Yeah, I had a region, which was sad because I didn't know LA that well. I'd only been out of college for...
Wait a minute.
What?
Did you look for this type of job specifically, or did it call your name in the classified?
Actually, it was in the classifieds. That's back when you used to look in the fucking LA Times for a job. And my girlfriend at the time, sweet girl that she was, goes, "Oh, you should do this. A part-time job."
Lady.
Yeah. And I inflated.
You inflated?
I was a big boy.
Oh, you inflated? I thought you inflated on your resume. Like, hey, I know how to eat food. I know how to eat food like nobody else.
Guys, you understand how qualified I am for this job.
How do they qualify you for that? They say, do you know how to taste a burger?
If you can answer an ad, and I guess they interviewed me because they're headquartered in San Diego.
What do you look for on a burger? So what, did they give you like a little picture what it should look like? I mean, how did this go?
Okay, I'll answer your questions. Number one, what was the first question? Oh, at a region. I didn't know LA that well because I only been out of college. This is right after 9/11, so the economy was doing pretty poor.
9/11.
Yeah, this would have been like fall of 2001, and yeah, I remember actually it was post 9/11. And what happened was they're like, oh, hey, what region would you like to work in? You can do the Valley, or you can do like South Bay, Long Beach.
Okay, what's the point?
I chose a fucking like Diamond Bar in Chino Hills.
Why so
I don't
far
know.
away?
I don't know.
That's really dumb.
I'm such an idiot.
That is really. Did you actually look at a map? Like, okay, I'm stationed here. This is where I live. My apartment's here. I want to go an hour and a half away, which is what it is with traffic.
God, what an idiot!
That is foolish. Now, how did you do the thing where you take one bite and then leave, like a food critic does?
That you can eat as much as you want, but you have to try everything.
Everything on the menu.
No, sorry. So here's how it starts. They're like, here's your route for today. You got to hit these 3 restaurants, they called them. These 3 restaurants. And you got to order this, and this. Okay. Usually it was a meal, like number 2, with an upgrade or something, because they were more concerned about service than they were about food. Like the questions were like your questionnaire was like how long you had to physically time how long it took you to get through the line.
I don't think they do this anymore, do they? Do they still have secret shop? Because now everything's like automated. And I remember I got yelled at just a few weeks ago. I was in line and there's nobody behind me. So I was like getting the food and I was putting the stuff back and he's like, can you please move? I'm like, why? There's nobody behind me. He's like, it's on a timer and we're going to get written up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, they have a little sensor that knew my car was there. Yeah. Just to be clear, I would never do that if someone was behind me. It was like 2 a.m. Yeah. There was nobody behind me.
So yeah, I had to time myself. And I also had to like park like a block away and time the cars going through the drive-through. Like they were very concerned with service.
You love that part, didn't you?
I got to sit in my car and listen to radio.
Yeah.
No binoculars.
Would you ever go tisk like, these guys aren't doing a very good job?
One time, and you're gonna know where this is. There was one Jack in the Box where I couldn't get a clear view of the drive-through because it was in a busy part of town. It was on Fairfax, just the one that's right next to Park La Brea, like right by the Grove.
I've been in that one a number of times.
I know, everyone has. There's no possible way I could sit there because there's no parking on one side.
You can sit on a stoop across the street of the Park La Brea.
I wasn't going to ditch my car.
You got to sit on a stoop.
I guess
commit to your job, right?
I guess I could have broken into Park La Brea.
No, it was before there was a fence, I'd imagine.
No, there was a fence.
No, there wasn't a fence.
There was on the Fairfax side.
On Fairfax, there wasn't a fence back then. I'm telling you.
Why are you sticking to it?
Because I used to live in Park La Brea, and there was not a fence.
Did you really live?
I lived there.
For people outside the area, this is like a huge complex in the middle. It looks like the middle of LA.
It looks like the projects.
It looks like a very nice project.
It's nice projects. Yeah.
It's expensive to live there.
I know, but it looks like the projects.
You can walk to the Grove. Oh, there was no Grove back then.
There's no Grove, Brian.
No Grove.
No. All right. Let's get out of here.
So yeah, I was sticker shopper for Jack in the Box.
I don't feel like we did. You know what? The show just went south when I didn't have that fucking audio, and I apologize.
I feel like
that's on
Anderson will have curated audio for next week. I feel like there's.
I'll play the full 2.5 minutes that I cut, where it's just him.
I feel like there's listener art incoming of me and Jack in the Box.
With your little binoculars staring.
There were no binoculars.
You have to have binoculars. Tisk. These guys here, they got to get their stuff together.
And I'm reporting. I had to go in the bathroom, perform the bathroom, like bathroom's clean or whatever.
That's not really fair to them. What if like some homeless challenged guy stepped in there right before?
I made no exceptions. I was a draconian ruler.
All right, let's get out of here. I do apologize that he had 2 such heavy movies. If I knew The Tribe was going to be as heavy as it was, hey, next week, Brian, I should assign this for you now, I guess, right?
No.
Pete, I bet. Oh, you know what? I didn't even talk about Byron. You know what, Byron? This is his 3rd movie. I didn't give him his due.
Oh, no,
this is his 3rd movie. He assigned us before. You know what he assigned us?
Let's hear it.
Mother.
Oh no.
And Mother, like the Jong Boon Ho. I fucked up his name.
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. That's right,
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. I didn't fuck up his name. And then right after that, The Guilty. Fuck to the yes, Brian. The Guilty. This actually works out because The Guilty, I think, is being released next week or the week after. The American version with Jake Gyllenhaal on Netflix.
I'm done reading my movies, Byron Klosterman.
What?
Assign us a English language movie.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. Well, we didn't read for The Tribe, did we?
It's a really good point.
So Byron, he's got 3 fucking solid movies that he's sent our way, and if I had to rank them, I'd go The Tribe, The Guilty, which says a lot because I fucking love that Guilty. And then Mother.
I'd go
Number
The Guilty, then The Tribe, then Mother. But yeah, they're good movies.
But the American remake of The Guilty is coming our way very, very soon. So
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Byron, for being a signer.
And then Pete Abeta. I fucked up your name, Pete. I apologize. Abeta
what's for next week?
He's assigned us The Kid Detective, which is on Stars right now, which is killing it. So The Kid Detective has been on my list for quite some time. I've been meaning to watch that for quite a while. So The Kid Detective, thanks to Pete Abeta.
We'll be watching that next week.
Abeta?
But we're gonna find out.
Come on, buddy.
The Kid Detective.
It's on Stars. Or you can rent it.
No, it's...
What's the problem?
This is a tough one, actually, because it's only streaming on Stars, or you can buy it across there's no rental options. How is
that's
this
the
possible?
problem. Well, you know what you do is you get Stars for 99 cents a month for 3 months. Let's go! Or get your 7-day free trial. Come on! Let's do it.
Stars.
Come on, Brian.
Okay, I'm in. Thanks again, Byron. Thanks to Devin Cuddy for being our featured art. Wait, no. Oh yeah, being our featured artist this week. I thought it's not written in red, so I was confused. Thanks, Devin. We're listening to you right now. Check us out this Friday for the 2021 summer recap. Top 5 movies of the summer. AndersonandBrian.com is the website. Instagram is Anderson and Brian, and of course Facebook and Twitter and Patreon, The Film Vault. Thanks, Giovanni, for the very long email you sent to Anderson and Anderson Only, Jordan Wolf, Mitch Burns, and Mike Cole for all your help. We appreciate it. And until next time.
We do it for bingo.
Back then, baby, how I held you up above.